Here is a white paper, short book, on human behavior, including a table of contents, topic breakdowns. Table of contents. Introduction to human behavior. Key subject topics in human behavior. Psychology and cognition. Social and group dynamics. Motivation and goals. Education and learning. Gender differences. Status and social hierarchy. Religion and belief systems. Differences between gender, status, and education. Common coincidences of all human beings. Goals most people share. How to control the mind. Why people need religion. List of 15 questions about human behavior, and answers. How people stay focused. Conclusion, 3 tiers. Additional topics to consider. References and further reading. 1. Introduction to human behavior. Human behavior is the collection of actions and reactions displayed by individuals in response to internal and external stimuli. It is shaped by biology, environment, culture, and personal experience. Understanding HB is essential for improving well-being, relationships, and societal progress. 2 key subject topics in human behavior. Psychology and cognition, how people think, feel, and make decisions. Includes both conscious and unconscious processes. Social and group dynamics, how individuals interact within groups, including norms, leadership, and cohesion. Motivation and goals, the drives behind behavior and the pursuit of objectives. Education and learning, how knowledge is acquired and its impact on behavior. Gender differences, biological and social distinctions between genders and their behavioral implications. Status and social hierarchy, the role of status in shaping behavior and opportunities. Religion and belief systems, the influence of spirituality and belief on behavior. 3 differences between gender, status, and education. Aspect: gender differences, status differences, education differences. Definition: biological and social roles, expectations, traits, position in social hierarchy, level of formal knowledge and learning. Impact: affects interests, skills, and social interactions, influences power, resources, and access, shapes opportunities, reasoning, outlook. Example: empathy versus systemizing tendencies, leaders versus followers, literate versus uneducated populations. 4 common coincidences of all human beings. Basic needs: food, water, shelter, and safety. Desire for belonging, seeking connection and community. Curiosity and learning, innate drive to explore and understand. Emotional responses: joy, fear, anger, sadness, etc. Communication, use of language and symbols to share ideas. 5 goals most people have. Survival and security, physical and emotional safety. Happiness and well-being, pursuit of joy and satisfaction. Success and achievement, career, personal, and social accomplishments. Relationships, building and maintaining connections. Purpose and meaning, finding significance in life. 6 How to control the mind. Mindfulness and meditation, practices to increase awareness and reduce reactivity. Cognitive behavioral techniques, changing negative thought patterns. Goal setting, focusing attention on desired outcomes. Self-regulation, managing emotions and impulses. Environmental control, structuring surroundings to support focus and calm. 7 Why people need religion. Meaning and purpose, provides answers to existential questions. Community and belonging, offers social support and shared rituals. Moral guidance, establishes ethical standards and behavior norms. Coping mechanism, helps manage stress, loss, and uncertainty. Hope and comfort, inspires optimism and resilience. 8 List of 15 questions about human behavior, and answers. What drives human behavior? Answer: a mix of biological needs, psychological motivations, and social influences. How do emotions affect decisions? Answer: emotions can override logic, leading to impulsive or irrational choices. Why do people conform to group norms? Answer: desire for acceptance and fear of rejection. How does stress impact behavior? Answer: stress can impair judgment and increase aggression or withdrawal. What role does personality play in behavior? Answer: Personality traits shape how individuals respond to situations. How do gender differences manifest in behavior? Answer: genders may differ in average tendencies, example empathy versus systemizing, but overlap is significant. What motivates people to learn? Answer: curiosity, reward, social approval, and personal growth. How does status influence behavior? Answer: higher status often leads to more confidence and influence. Why do people seek power? Answer: for control, security, and to fulfill personal or group goals. How do beliefs shape behavior? Answer: beliefs guide values, decisions, and actions. What is the impact of culture on behavior? Answer: culture sets norms, values, and expectations for behavior. How do people cope with failure? Answer: through resilience, self-reflection, or avoidance. Why do people need rituals? Answer: rituals provide structure, comfort, and a sense of belonging. How does education change behavior? Answer: education expands knowledge, critical thinking, and opportunities. What is the importance of self-awareness? Answer: self-awareness enables better decision-making and personal growth. 9. How people stay focused. Setting clear goals, defining what needs to be accomplished. Minimizing distractions, creating a conducive environment. Time management, prioritizing tasks and scheduling breaks. Practicing mindfulness, training attention and awareness. Using positive reinforcement, rewarding progress and effort. 10. Conclusion: 3 tiers. For a kid, people act the way they do because of how they feel, what they want, and who is around them. Everyone wants to be happy, have friends, and learn new things. For an adult, human behavior is shaped by a complex mix of biology, environment, and personal experiences. Understanding these factors helps us make better choices, build stronger relationships, and achieve our goals. For a PhD, human behavior emerges from the dynamic interplay of neurobiological processes, cognitive schemas, social structures, and cultural contexts. Advanced research integrates these domains to explain and predict behavior, inform interventions, and promote well-being. 11 additional topics to consider. Neuroscience and brain function: how brain structures influence behavior. Behavioral economics: the role of incentives and decision-making. Cross-cultural comparisons: how behavior varies across societies. Technology and behavior: the impact of digital life on human interaction. Mental health and behavior: the relationship between psychological well-being and actions. All humans, regardless of cultural, geographical, or social differences, share certain core experiences and patterns that can be described as coincidences or universal phenomena. These are not coincidences in the sense of random chance, but rather deep, underlying commonalities that shape human life and perception. Biological and genetic kinship: every human alive today shares a most recent common ancestor who lived surprisingly recently in human history, and if we go back a bit further, everyone's family trees converge to a set of common ancestors, a genetic isopoint, meaning we are all more closely related than we commonly think. Collective unconscious and archetypes: according to Carl Jung, the collective unconscious is a shared reservoir of archetypes, universal patterns of behavior, thought, and emotion that are present in all cultures and societies. These archetypes are inherited and influence our dreams, myths, and symbols, providing a psychological foundation common to all humans. Meaning-making and pattern recognition: humans universally seek meaning and patterns in their experiences. Even when coincidences, or synchronicities, occur, people naturally try to interpret them as significant or meaningful, reflecting a shared cognitive process designed to make sense of the world. Emotional and social needs: all humans experience basic emotions such as joy, fear, sadness, and anger, and share fundamental needs for connection, belonging, and community. Symbolic and ritualistic behavior: across cultures, humans create symbols, rituals, and stories to express shared experiences and values, often manifesting similar themes and motifs independently, example creation myths, hero journeys, rites of passage. These core coincidences are not coincidences in the strict sense, but rather universal patterns, needs, and cognitive processes that connect all human beings at a fundamental level. They form the bedrock of what it means to be human, transcending individual differences. Why do humans feel a need for religion despite scientific advancements? Humans continue to feel a need for religion even in the face of scientific advancements for several intertwined psychological, social, and existential reasons. Meaning and purpose. Religion provides answers to existential questions such as the meaning of life, the origin of the universe, and what happens after death that science, by its nature, does not address directly or comprehensively. While science explains how things work, religion often addresses why things matter. Emotional comfort and coping. Religious beliefs help people manage anxiety, uncertainty, and the fear of death. Belief in a higher power or an afterlife can offer comfort and a sense of control in an unpredictable world. Social cohesion and belonging. Religion fosters community, shared values, and cooperation among large groups, which is evolutionarily advantageous for building trust and collective action. This sense of belonging can be deeply fulfilling and is not easily replaced by scientific knowledge. Self-control and ethics. Some research suggests that religious beliefs enhance self-control and promote prosocial behaviors, helping individuals and societies function more harmoniously. Cognitive and existential needs. Humans have a natural tendency to seek patterns, agency, and meaning in their experiences. Religion satisfies these cognitive and existential needs, providing explanations and narratives that make sense of both personal and collective experiences. While scientific advancements explain much about the natural world, they do not eliminate the human need for meaning, comfort, community, and moral guidance needs that religion has historically fulfilled and continues to address in many lives. As far as HB, why is there stress between religion and science? The stress between religion and science in the context of human behavior arises from fundamental differences in how each domain addresses questions, processes information, and influences belief systems. Key reasons for the stress. Different ways of thinking. Neuroscience research shows that religious belief and scientific reasoning involve different brain networks. Religious thought often engages empathetic and intuitive networks, while scientific thinking relies on analytical and critical reasoning networks. These networks can suppress each other, making it challenging for individuals to engage both simultaneously, which can lead to internal and interpersonal conflict. Contradictory explanations. When religious teachings make claims about the natural world that conflict with scientific evidence such as the age of the Earth or the process of evolution, individuals may experience cognitive dissonance. This is especially true when religious texts are interpreted literally, and scientific data contradict those interpretations. Identity and group dynamics. Religion often provides a sense of identity and belonging. When scientific findings challenge religious beliefs, group members may feel threatened, leading to defensive reactions and the reinforcement of group boundaries to maintain social cohesion and personal status. Authority and trust. People must decide which sources of information to trust: religious authorities or scientific evidence. This can be confusing, especially when messages from family, community, and education systems conflict. Domains of inquiry. Science and religion address different types of questions. Science explains how things work in the natural world, while religion often addresses why things exist and what gives life meaning. However, when either side oversteps its domain or claims exclusive authority, conflict arises. The stress between religion and science is rooted in differences in cognitive processes, the types of questions each addresses, and the social dynamics of belief and identity. While both can coexist and even complement each other, conflict often arises when their domains overlap or when one is perceived as threatening the other's authority or truth claims. Why do some people see science and religion as opposing forces in life? People often see science and religion as opposing forces in their lives because each offers different, sometimes conflicting, explanations for fundamental questions about existence, morality, and the natural world. Here's why this perception arises. Different sources of authority. Science relies on empirical evidence, observation, and the scientific method to explain how things work in the natural world. Religion, on the other hand, often draws from sacred texts, spiritual experiences, and faith to answer questions about meaning, purpose, and morality. Conflicting truth claims. when religious teachings make claims about the natural world that contradict scientific findings such as the origin of the universe, evolution, or the age of the Earth, people may feel forced to choose between them, leading to a sense of opposition. Cognitive and cultural divides, the ways of thinking encouraged by science, questioning, skepticism, evidence-based reasoning, can seem at odds with religious modes of thought, faith, tradition, revelation. This can create internal or external tension, especially in societies or families where one perspective is valued over the other. Group identity and belonging. People often derive a sense of identity from their religious or scientific communities. When these communities are portrayed as being in conflict, individuals may feel pressure to align with one side, reinforcing the perception of opposition. Perceptions of superiority. Both science and religion can claim to offer the right or best answers to life's big questions. This can lead to an us versus them mentality, where each side sees the other as a threat to its worldview or way of life. However, many people also find ways to reconcile science and religion, viewing them as addressing different aspects of human experience, science explaining the how and religion the why. But when their domains overlap or seem to contradict, the perception of opposition can become strong. There is power in the written word. Why is it important to write things down? Writing things down is important for several powerful reasons that impact memory, productivity, clarity, and overall well-being. 1. Improves memory and retention. Writing engages more of your brain than just thinking or speaking. The act of physically, or digitally, recording information helps encode it more deeply into your memory, making it easier to recall later. 2. Clarifies thoughts and ideas. When you write, you're forced to organize your thoughts and articulate them clearly. This process often reveals gaps in reasoning, new perspectives, or creative solutions you might not have seen otherwise. 3. Reduces stress and anxiety. Writing down tasks, worries, or plans can help offload mental clutter. This is a cornerstone of productivity methods like to-do lists and journaling, which have been shown to reduce anxiety and improve focus. 4. Boosts goal achievement. Documenting goals makes them more concrete and actionable. Studies show that people who write down their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them compared to those who don't. 5. Tracks progress and growth. Writing allows you to keep a record of your progress, ideas, and experiences. This makes it easier to reflect on what's working, what isn't, and how you've grown over time. 6. Facilitates communication. Written records help you communicate ideas clearly and consistently to others. Whether it's notes for a meeting, instructions, or creative work, writing ensures your message is understood. 7. Encourages accountability. When you write down commitments or tasks, you're more likely to follow through. This is especially true if you share your written plans with others. In summary, writing things down is a simple but powerful tool for thinking, remembering, planning, and achieving your goals. It helps you clarify your thoughts, reduce stress, track progress, communicate effectively, and hold yourself accountable. What things should I understand about HB in men and women? Understanding human behavior, HB, in men and women requires recognizing both similarities and key differences shaped by biology, psychology, and culture. Here are the most important things to know. Key similarities. Basic human needs. Both men and women share fundamental needs such as belonging, safety, achievement, and meaning. Emotional experience. Both experience core emotions, joy, sadness, fear, anger, though the expression and regulation may differ. Capacity for growth. Both can develop resilience, empathy, intelligence, and adaptability. Notable differences. Psychological and cognitive differences. Personality traits. On average, women tend to score higher on traits like warmth, gregariousness, and positive emotions, while men are often more assertive and excitement-seeking. Empathy and communication. Women generally show greater empathy, verbal fluency, and emotional memory, while men may be more focused on problem-solving and spatial tasks. Aggression. Men are more likely to display physical and direct aggression, especially in contexts of competition, while women are more likely to use verbal or indirect aggression, example gossip, social exclusion. Social and behavioral differences. Relationship building. women often prioritize relationship building and cooperation in social interactions, while men may be more competitive and hierarchical. Play and interaction. From childhood, girls tend to engage in cooperative, nurturing play, while boys are more likely to engage in competitive, physical play. Expression of anger. Women more often express anger verbally, while men may express it through actions or physical confrontation. Biological and neural differences. Brain structure. Women, on average, have more neurons in language and hearing centers, supporting better verbal and emotional processing. Men may have greater spatial abilities and a larger right amygdala, linked to threat response and action. Hormonal influences. Women experience more hormonal fluctuations, which can affect mood and behavior, while men are generally more hormonally stable. Memory. Women often have stronger, more vivid memories of emotional events and recall them more quickly than men. Cultural and environmental influences. Gender roles. Socialization and cultural expectations play a significant role in shaping behavior, sometimes reinforcing or exaggerating innate tendencies. Flexibility and overlap. While average differences exist, there is considerable overlap between men and women in most traits. Individual variation is always greater than group differences. Overlap. Most differences are averages, and there is significant overlap between genders. Individual variation. Each person's behavior is shaped by a unique mix of biology, psychology, and environment. Cultural context. Social norms and expectations greatly influence how men and women behave. Understanding these patterns helps foster empathy, improve communication, and appreciate the diversity of human behavior. Why is it hard to break bad habits? How to change bad habits into good ones? Breaking bad habits is challenging primarily because these behaviors become deeply rooted in the brain's neural pathways through repetition and reward, making them automatic and often unconscious. Here's why it's so hard and what you can do to change them. Why it's hard to break bad habits. Automaticity. Bad habits are performed with little or no conscious thought. The brain creates strong neural connections for repeated actions, making the behavior automatic and hard to interrupt. Reward system. The brain's reward centers reinforce habits by releasing dopamine, a feel-good chemical, when you engage in the habit, even if it's ultimately harmful. Comfort and familiarity. Habits provide stability and predictability, creating a comfort zone. Stepping outside this zone triggers discomfort, making change feel difficult. Effortful control. Breaking a habit requires conscious effort and willpower, which can be exhausting. Self-control functions like a muscle, it tires with use. Psychological barriers. Fear of failure, discomfort, and external influences, like social norms or environmental cues, make it even harder to change. How to change bad habits into good ones. Identify triggers. Recognize the cues, time, place, emotions, people, that lead to the bad habit. Replace with alternatives. Substitute the bad habit with a healthier behavior that provides a similar reward. For example, take a walk instead of smoking. Set clear goals. Write down your intentions and track your progress to stay motivated. Use rewards. Reinforce new behaviors by rewarding yourself for successful changes. Change your environment. Remove or avoid triggers that prompt the bad habit and create supportive surroundings for your new habit. Practice self-compassion. Accept that setbacks are normal and use them as learning opportunities rather than reasons to give up. Build support systems. Involve friends, family, or groups to encourage and hold you accountable. Breaking bad habits is difficult but not impossible. With awareness, planning, and persistence, you can replace harmful routines with healthier ones. Generally, what makes people happy? Generally, people are made happy by a combination of biological, psychological, and social factors. Here's what research consistently shows about the sources and drivers of happiness. Key factors that make people happy. Genetics and biology. About 35 to 50% of our happiness is influenced by genetic factors, meaning some people are naturally more predisposed to happiness due to their biology and brain chemistry. Neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins play crucial roles in mood regulation and feelings of well-being. Personal choices and activities. Around 40% of happiness is attributed to intentional activities and behaviors, such as practicing gratitude, engaging in meaningful work, exercising, and pursuing hobbies. Close relationships. Strong, supportive relationships are among the most powerful predictors of happiness and long-term well-being. People with close ties to family, friends, and community tend to be happier and live longer. Life circumstances. Only about 10% of happiness is determined by external circumstances like income, job status, or material possessions, once basic needs are met. Positive emotions and life satisfaction. Happiness is characterized by the presence of positive emotions, the absence of negative emotions, and a sense of satisfaction with life. Additional insights. Exercise and physical health. Regular physical activity boosts mood by releasing endorphins and other happy hormones. Purpose and meaning. Engaging in activities that provide a sense of purpose or meaning increases happiness. Social connection. Positive social interactions and acceptance into a community are strongly linked to happiness. In summary, while genetics play a significant role, happiness is also shaped by personal actions, strong relationships, and a sense of meaning much more than by external circumstances or material success. Here is a 6-week college-level course on human behavior, HB. Human Behavior, a Multidisciplinary Perspective. 6-week college-level course. Week 1, Introduction to Human Behavior and Theoretical Foundations. Topics. Overview of human behavior and the social environment. The nature and importance of theory in understanding HB. Introduction to major theoretical perspectives, biological, psychological, social. Social work values, ethics, and diversity spotlight. Learning objectives. Understand the scope of human behavior studies. Identify and differentiate core theoretical frameworks. Assignments. Personal reflection on your own behavior and influences. Case study analysis. Apply a theory to a real-world scenario. Week 2, Biopsychosocial and Ecological Systems. Topics. Biopsychosocial model, biological, psychological, and social dimensions. Systems and ecological theories, general systems, dynamic systems, Bronfenbrenner's ecological theory. Social determinants of health and behavior. Groups, communities, organizations, and culture. Learning objectives. Analyze how multiple systems interact to shape behavior. Recognize the impact of environment and social structures. Assignments. Written analysis of a case using the biopsychosocial model. Group discussion on social determinants of health. Week 3, Social conflict, change, and identity. Topics. Theories of social conflict and change, classism, racism/critical race theory, sexism/feminist theory. Implicit bias and the neurobiology of prejudice. Social identity development and intersectionality. Learning objectives. Identify sources of social conflict and mechanisms of change. Understand the role of bias and identity in behavior. Assignments. Critical reflection on a current social issue. Oral presentation on a chosen theory of social change. Week 4, Stress, Adaptation, and Resilience. Topics. Theories of social stress and adaptation. Allostasis, allostatic load, and epigenetics. Coping mechanisms, resilience, and social support. The impact of trauma on behavior. Learning objectives. Explain how individuals and groups adapt to stress. Identify factors that promote resilience and recovery. Assignments. Life history interview, conduct and analyze. Written summary on coping strategies. Week 5, Development across the lifespan. Topics. Biopsychosocial development in childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. Theories of family environment and family systems. Aging and behavior in middle and older adulthood. Learning objectives. Describe developmental milestones and challenges. Analyze the influence of family and life stage on behavior. Assignments. Analysis of a developmental case study. Group project, compare 2 life stages. Week 6, Behavior change, communication, and application. Topics. Learning theories and behavior modification. Effective communication and interpersonal skills. Application of HB knowledge in professional and personal contexts. Review and integration of course concepts. Learning objectives. Apply theories of behavior change to real-world problems. Demonstrate effective communication strategies. Assignments. Final case study, develop an intervention plan. Class presentation on a chosen topic in HB. Course assessment. Participation, active engagement in discussions and group work. Assignments, weekly reflections, case studies, interviews, and presentations. Midterm exam, multiple choice and short answer, week 3. Final project, comprehensive case analysis and intervention plan, week 6. This structure provides a rigorous, engaging, and practical approach to studying human behavior at the college level, preparing students for advanced study and real-world application. Here's a comprehensive outline on human behavior, HB. Understanding human behavior, a multidimensional study. Table of contents. Introduction. The foundations of human behavior. Biological and psychological influences. Gender differences in behavior. Influence of socioeconomic status and education. Universal human traits, coincidences. Common human goals. The psychology of mind control and self-regulation. The role of religion and spiritual beliefs. Staying focused in a distracted world. Key questions and expert answers on human behavior. Conclusion. Tier 1, for kids. Tier 2, for adults. Tier 3, for PhDs. What else should be included? References and further reading. 1. Introduction. Human behavior is the sum of all observable actions and internal processes such as thoughts, emotions, motivations, and social interactions. This white paper aims to demystify the complexities of human behavior through science, psychology, sociology, and philosophy. 2. The foundations of human behavior. Nature versus nurture, biological disposition, genes, hormones, versus environment, family, culture. Personality theories, Big 5, MBTI, Jungian archetypes. Motivation models, Maslow's hierarchy, self-determination theory. 3. Biological and psychological influences. Neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin drive emotion, decision-making. Cognitive biases, confirmation bias, Dunning-Kruger effect. Mental health, impact on daily functioning, behavior patterns. 4. Gender differences in behavior. Biological, hormonal differences, example testosterone, estrogen, affect risk-taking, empathy, aggression. Cultural expectations, boys may be socialized to suppress emotions, girls encouraged to be nurturing. Overlap and spectrum, most traits exist on a continuum with significant overlap. 5. Influence of socioeconomic status and education. Wealth and resources, impact decision-making, access to healthcare, and stress levels. Educational exposure, enhances critical thinking, empathy, and self-regulation. Status signaling, behavior influenced by social comparison and class identity. 6. Universal human traits, coincidences. What do all humans have in common? Desire for connection. Fear of death. Need for purpose. Cognitive shortcuts, heuristics. Tendency to form in-groups/out groups. Laughing, crying, dreaming. Storytelling as a meaning-making tool. 7. Common human goals. Survival and safety. Love and belonging. Achievement and success. Autonomy and freedom. Legacy and meaning. Joy and pleasure. 8. The psychology of mind control and self-regulation. Discipline versus motivation, systems beat willpower. Techniques, meditation, cognitive behavioral therapy, journaling, affirmations. Influence and persuasion, social proof, scarcity, authority, Cialdini principles. 9. The role of religion and spiritual beliefs. Emotional support, offers comfort in uncertainty. Moral framework, codifies values and social rules. Group cohesion, builds identity and shared meaning. Existential questions, answers to life, death, suffering. 10. Staying focused in a distracted world. Digital minimalism, reducing screen dependency. Pomodoro and deep work, structured work sessions. Mindfulness and environment design, optimize surroundings to reduce noise. 11 key questions and expert answers on human behavior. Why do people conform? To gain social approval and avoid rejection. Normative influence. Do humans have free will? Debated. Many actions are subconscious, but we do have metacognition. Why do people lie? To protect self-image, avoid punishment, or manipulate. Are humans inherently good or bad? Neither, we have both altruistic and selfish tendencies. Why do we feel empathy? Mirror neurons, evolutionary bonding mechanism. Why do habits form? Cue routine reward loop, habit loop by Charles Duhigg. How do humans deal with trauma? Through coping mechanisms, repression, therapy, addiction, growth. Why do people follow leaders? For order, identity, and to reduce uncertainty. How do culture and behavior interact? Culture shapes norms, values, expression of emotions. Why do people fear change? It threatens routine, identity, and creates uncertainty. How is behavior influenced by peers? Through social norms, identity, mimicry. Why do people procrastinate? To avoid discomfort or due to fear of failure. What makes someone resilient? Optimism, support systems, purpose, adaptability. How can behavior be modified? Through reinforcement, feedback, environment design. What causes addiction? Reward system hijacked by substances or behaviors plus trauma link. 12 Conclusion, 3 tiers. Tier 1, for kids. People do things because of how they feel inside and what they've learned from others. We all want to be happy, safe, and loved. Being kind and learning to calm your mind helps you and others. Tier 2, for adults. Human behavior is influenced by biology, upbringing, society, and inner desires. While individuals vary, most people seek connection, meaning, and safety. Managing attention and emotions through practices like mindfulness can lead to better outcomes in personal and professional life. Tier 3, for PhDs. Human behavior is a dynamic interaction of neurobiological, cognitive, socio-cultural, and evolutionary forces. Predictive models require interdisciplinary integration across psychology, neuroscience, sociology, and systems theory. Practical interventions must account for complexity, feedback loops, and contextual embeddedness. Glossary of terms. Tools and worksheets, behavioral self-assessment. Would you like this converted into a PDF or formatted as an ebook with chapters and interactive content? Or do you want to expand any specific section like religion, gender psychology, or the neuroscience of focus? Human behavior, a comprehensive analysis. Table of contents. Introduction. Biological foundations of human behavior. Genetic influences. Neurological bases. Psychological dimensions. Cognitive processes. Emotional responses. Behavioral patterns. Social influences. Cultural impact. Social norms and roles. Group dynamics. Gender differences in human behavior. Biological differences. Social and cultural influences. Psychological variations. Statistics and education. Educational achievement and behavior. Statistical analysis of behavioral trends. Commonalities among humans. Universal needs and desires. Shared emotional experiences. Common cognitive processes. Goals and motivations. Intrinsic versus extrinsic motivations. Short-term versus long-term goals. Cultural and personal variations. Mind control and manipulation. Techniques for influencing behavior. Ethical considerations. Real-world applications. Religion and spirituality. Psychological benefits. Social functions. Cultural variations. Focus and concentration. Techniques for improving focus. Common distractions and solutions. Environmental and internal factors. 15 questions on human behavior. Question 1. What are the primary drivers of human behavior? Question 2. How do cultural differences influence behavior? Question 3. What role does genetics play in shaping behavior? Question 4. How do emotions affect decision-making processes? Question 5. What are the key differences in behavior between genders? Question 6. How does education impact behavioral patterns? Question 7. What are the universal needs that drive all human behavior? Question 8. What are the most common goals people strive for? Question 9. How can the mind be controlled or influenced? Question 10. Why do people turn to religion for answers? Question 11. What techniques can improve focus and concentration? Question 12. How do social norms shape individual behavior? Question 13. What are the psychological benefits of spirituality? Question 14. How do group dynamics affect individual behavior? Question 15. What are the ethical considerations in mind control? Summaries. Tier 1. Simplified explanation for a kid. Tier 2. Detailed explanation for an adult. Tier 3. Academic explanation for a PhD. 1. Introduction. Human behavior is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon influenced by a myriad of factors, including biological, psychological, and social elements. Understanding these factors is crucial for gaining insight into why people act the way they do and how these actions can be influenced or modified. This paper aims to provide a comprehensive analysis of human behavior, exploring its various dimensions and offering a nuanced perspective on the subject. 2. Biological foundations of human behavior. Genetic influences. Genetics play a significant role in shaping human behavior. Traits such as temperament, intelligence, and susceptibility to certain behaviors, example addiction, are influenced by genetic factors. Twin studies and adoption studies have provided evidence for the heritability of various behavioral traits, highlighting the importance of genetic makeup in behavior. Neurological bases. The brain is the primary organ responsible for generating behavior. Different regions of the brain control specific functions, such as emotion, limbic system, cognition, prefrontal cortex, and motor skills, cerebellum. Neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine also play crucial roles in modulating behavior by transmitting signals between neurons. 3. Psychological dimensions. Cognitive processes. Cognitive processes, including perception, memory, attention, and problem-solving, significantly influence behavior. How individuals perceive and interpret information can lead to different behavioral responses. For example, a person's memory of a past event can affect their current behavior and decisions. Emotional responses. Emotions are a fundamental aspect of human behavior, driving many of our actions and reactions. Emotions such as fear, anger, joy, and sadness can influence behavior by triggering specific physiological and psychological responses. Understanding emotional regulation is key to comprehending behavior. Behavioral patterns. Behavioral patterns refer to the consistent ways in which individuals act in response to their environment. These patterns can be learned through reinforcement, modeling, or other forms of conditioning. For instance, a person might develop a pattern of avoidance behavior in response to stressful situations. 4. Social influences. Cultural impact. Culture shapes behavior by providing norms, values, and expectations that guide individual actions. Cultural differences can lead to varied behavioral patterns, such as differences in communication styles, social interactions, and ritualistic behaviors. For example, individualistic cultures may encourage competitive behavior, while collectivist cultures may foster cooperative behavior. Social norms and roles. Social norms are the unwritten rules that dictate acceptable behavior within a society. They influence how individuals act in various situations, from greeting strangers to participating in rituals. Social roles, such as those of a parent, teacher, or employee, also dictate expected behaviors and influence individual actions. Group dynamics. Group dynamics refer to the interactions and behaviors that occur within a group setting. Factors such as group size, cohesion, and leadership can influence individual behavior. For instance, group pressure can lead to conformity, where individuals alter their behavior to match the group's norms. 5. Gender differences in human behavior. Biological differences. Biological differences between genders, such as hormonal variations and physical attributes, can influence behavior. For example, Testosterone levels in males are often associated with increased aggression and competitive behavior, while estrogen in females is linked to nurturing and empathetic behaviors. Social and cultural influences. Social and cultural expectations also play a significant role in shaping gender-specific behaviors. Societies often have distinct roles and expectations for men and women, which can influence behavior from a young age. For instance, girls may be encouraged to be nurturing and compliant, while boys are often encouraged to be assertive and independent. Psychological variations. Psychological differences between genders can also influence behavior. For example, males and females may differ in their emotional expression, coping mechanisms, and cognitive styles. These differences can lead to varied behavioral responses in similar situations. 6. Statistics and education. Educational achievement and behavior. Education plays a crucial role in shaping behavior by providing knowledge, skills, and values that influence individual actions. Educational achievement is often correlated with positive behavioral outcomes, such as increased self-discipline, goal-oriented behavior, and social competence. For instance, higher levels of education are associated with better employment opportunities and financial stability, which can influence behavior and lifestyle choices. Statistical analysis of behavioral trends. Statistical analysis can reveal patterns and trends in human behavior, providing insights into common behaviors and their underlying causes. For example, statistical data may show that certain demographic groups are more likely to engage in specific behaviors, such as substance abuse or criminal activity. This information can be used to develop targeted interventions and policies. 7. Commonalities among humans. Universal needs and desires. All humans share certain universal needs and desires, such as the need for food, shelter, and social connection. These basic needs drive much of human behavior and are essential for survival and well-being. For example, the desire for social belonging can influence behaviors related to friendship, romantic relationships, and group membership. Shared emotional experiences. Humans also share a range of emotional experiences, such as joy, sadness, anger, and fear. These emotions are universal and can be recognized across different cultures, indicating a common biological and psychological basis. For instance, the experience of grief is universally recognized and can influence behaviors such as mourning and seeking support. Common cognitive processes. Cognitive processes, such as perception, memory, and problem-solving, are also shared among humans. These processes enable individuals to interpret and respond to their environment, shaping behavior in fundamental ways. For example, the ability to form and recall memories allows individuals to learn from past experiences and adapt their behavior accordingly. 8. Goals and motivations. Intrinsic versus extrinsic motivations. Motivations can be intrinsic, driven by internal rewards, or extrinsic, driven by external rewards. Intrinsic motivations, such as personal growth and satisfaction, can lead to behaviors that are self-directed and autonomous. Extrinsic motivations, such as rewards and recognition, can influence behaviors that are goal-oriented and performance-driven. Short-term versus long-term goals. Goals can be short-term, immediate, or long-term, future-oriented. Short-term goals, such as completing a task or achieving a daily objective, can influence immediate behavior and provide a sense of accomplishment. Long-term goals, such as career aspirations or personal development, can shape behavior over extended periods and provide a sense of purpose and direction. Cultural and personal variations. Goals and motivations can vary across cultures and individuals. Cultural values and beliefs can influence the types of goals people pursue, such as prioritizing family success over individual achievement in collectivist cultures. Personal factors, such as interests, values, and life experiences, also shape individual goals and motivations. 9. Mind control and manipulation. Techniques for influencing behavior. Various techniques can be used to influence or control behavior, including persuasion, conditioning, and manipulation. Persuasion involves using logical arguments and emotional appeals to convince someone to adopt a particular behavior or belief. Conditioning, such as classical or operant conditioning, involves associating behaviors with rewards or punishments to shape future actions. Manipulation involves subtly influencing someone's behavior or decisions to achieve a desired outcome. Ethical considerations. Mind control and manipulation raise ethical considerations, such as the potential for coercion, deception, and exploitation. It is essential to consider the consent and autonomy of individuals when influencing their behavior. Ethical mind control techniques should respect individual rights and promote well-being. Real-world applications. Mind control techniques are used in various real-world applications, such as advertising, politics, and education. For example, advertisers use persuasive techniques to influence consumer behavior, while political leaders may use manipulation to gain support for their agendas. Educational settings use conditioning to reinforce desired behaviors, such as studying and completing assignments. 10. Religion and spirituality. Psychological benefits. Religion and spirituality can provide psychological benefits, such as a sense of meaning, purpose, and community. Engaging in religious practices can reduce stress, anxiety, and depression by offering a framework for coping with life's challenges and providing a support network. For example, prayer and meditation can promote emotional well-being and resilience. Social functions. Religion also serves social functions by providing a sense of belonging and identity. Religious communities offer support, shared values, and a structure for social interactions. This can influence behavior by promoting prosocial actions, such as charity and volunteer work, and reinforcing moral and ethical standards. Cultural variations. Religious beliefs and practices vary across cultures, influencing behavior in diverse ways. For instance, some cultures may emphasize ritualistic behaviors and superstitions, while others may focus on ethical teachings and philosophical inquiries. These cultural variations shape individual behaviors and worldviews. 11. Focus and concentration. Techniques for improving focus. Several techniques can improve focus and concentration, including mindfulness, time management, and environmental control. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation and deep breathing, can enhance mental clarity and reduce distractions. Time management strategies, like setting specific goals and breaking tasks into manageable chunks, can improve productivity and focus. Controlling the environment, such as reducing noise and clutter, can also enhance concentration. Common distractions and solutions. Common distractions include technology, example social media, emails, environmental factors, example noise, clutter, and internal factors, example stress, fatigue. Solutions to these distractions involve setting boundaries, such as turning off notifications, creating a dedicated workspace, and practicing self-care to reduce stress and improve energy levels. Environmental and internal factors. Both environmental and internal factors can affect focus and concentration. Environmental factors, such as lighting, temperature, and noise levels, can either enhance or hinder concentration. Internal factors, such as motivation, interest, and physical health, also play a crucial role. For example, high motivation and interest in a task can improve focus, while fatigue and illness can diminish it. 15 questions on human behavior. Question 1. What are the primary drivers of human behavior? Answer. The primary drivers of human behavior include biological needs, example food, shelter, psychological needs, example love, belonging, and social influences, example cultural norms, peer pressure. These factors interact to shape individual actions and decisions. Question 2. How do cultural differences influence behavior? Answer. Cultural differences influence behavior by providing distinct norms, values, and expectations. For example, individualistic cultures may encourage competitive behavior, while collectivist cultures may foster cooperation and harmony. Question 3. What role does genetics play in shaping behavior? Answer. Genetics play a significant role in shaping behavior by influencing traits such as temperament, intelligence, and susceptibility to certain behaviors. Twin and adoption studies have shown that many behavioral traits are heritable. Question 4. How do emotions affect decision-making processes? Answer. emotions affect decision-making by influencing how individuals perceive and interpret information. For example, fear can lead to risk-averse decisions, while joy can enhance creativity and openness to new experiences. Question 5. What are the key differences in behavior between genders? Answer. Key differences in behavior between genders include variations in emotional expression, aggression levels, and social roles. These differences are influenced by a combination of biological, social, and psychological factors. Question 6. How does education impact behavioral patterns? Answer. Education impacts behavioral patterns by providing knowledge, skills, and values that guide individual actions. Higher levels of education are often associated with increased self-discipline, goal-oriented behavior, and social competence. Question 7. What are the universal needs that drive all human behavior? Answer. Universal needs that drive human behavior include physiological needs, example food, water, safety needs, example security, stability, love, and belonging needs, example social connection, intimacy, esteem needs, example achievement, recognition, and self-actualization needs, example personal growth, fulfillment. Question 8. What are the most common goals people strive for? Answer. The most common goals people strive for include achieving financial stability, building strong relationships, gaining education and career success, and pursuing personal interests and hobbies. These goals can vary based on cultural and individual factors. Question 9. How can the mind be controlled or influenced? Answer. The mind can be controlled or influenced through various techniques, including persuasion, conditioning, and manipulation. These techniques can be used to shape behaviors, attitudes, and beliefs. Question 10. Why do people turn to religion for answers? Answer. People turn to religion for answers because it provides a framework for understanding the world, offering meaning, purpose, and a sense of community. Religion also offers coping mechanisms for dealing with life's challenges and uncertainties. Question 11. What techniques can improve focus and concentration? Answer. Techniques to improve focus and concentration include mindfulness practices, time management strategies, and environmental control. These techniques help reduce distractions and enhance mental clarity. Question 12. How do social norms shape individual behavior? Answer. Social norms shape individual behavior by providing expectations and guidelines for acceptable actions within a society. Conforming to these norms can lead to social approval and inclusion, while deviating from them may result in disapproval or exclusion. Question 13. What are the psychological benefits of spirituality? Answer. The psychological benefits of spirituality include a sense of meaning, purpose, and emotional well-being. Spiritual practices, such as meditation and prayer, can reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, and promote resilience and positive emotions. Question 14. How do group dynamics affect individual behavior? Answer. Group dynamics affect individual behavior by influencing conformity, peer pressure, and social influence. Being part of a group can lead to changes in behavior to align with group norms and expectations. Question 15. What are the ethical considerations in mind control? Answer. Ethical considerations in mind control include respecting individual autonomy, consent, and well-being. Mind control techniques should be used transparently and with the intention of promoting positive outcomes, rather than exploitation or coercion. 13. Explanation. Tier 1. Simplified explanation for a kid. People act the way they do because of lots of things, like their genes, how they feel, and what other people think. Some things, like needing food and friends, are the same for everyone. Other things, like goals and beliefs, can be different. Understanding why people do what they do can help us get along better and make better choices. Tier 2. Detailed explanation for an adult. Human behavior is influenced by a complex interplay of biological, psychological, and social factors. Understanding these influences provides insight into why people act the way they do and how behaviors can be modified. Key factors include genetic predispositions, neurological processes, emotional responses, cultural norms, and social dynamics. By recognizing these elements, we can develop strategies to improve focus, achieve goals, and foster positive interactions. Tier 3, Academic explanation for a PhD. The study of human behavior encompasses a multitude of disciplines, including biology, psychology, sociology, and anthropology. A comprehensive analysis reveals that behavior is shaped by genetic and neurological factors, cognitive and emotional processes, and social and cultural influences. Gender differences, educational achievements, and religious beliefs further modulate behavioral patterns. Techniques for mind control and focus enhancement highlight the malleability of human behavior, while ethical considerations underscore the importance of respecting individual autonomy and well-being. Future research should continue to explore the intricate interactions between these factors to develop a more nuanced understanding of human behavior. Here's a structured outline and a condensed version of a white paper, short book, on human behavior, HB. Understanding Human Behavior, HB, a short book. Table of Contents. Introduction to Human Behavior. Fundamental aspects of human behavior. Gender differences in behavior. Statistics and education's role in behavior. Universal human coincidences. Common human goals. Controlling the mind. The need for religion. Key questions about human behavior. Strategies for staying focused. Conclusions. For kids. For adults. For PhDs. Additional topics to explore. 1. Introduction to human behavior. Human behavior encompasses the range of actions, reactions, and thought patterns exhibited by individuals across different contexts. It is shaped by biological, psychological, social, and environmental factors. Understanding behavior helps us improve communication, relationships, and societal functioning. 2. Fundamental aspects of human behavior. Biological instincts, survival, reproduction. Psychological influences, emotions, perceptions, beliefs. Social factors, culture, peer influence, norms. Environmental impacts, circumstances, surroundings. 3. Gender differences in behavior. Research indicates certain behavioral tendencies often associated with gender. Males generally exhibit higher physical aggression, risk-taking behaviors. Females tend to display greater empathy, nurturing tendencies. However, these are averages. Individual differences are vast and influenced by socialization and personal experiences. 4. Statistics and education's role in behavior. Education correlates with higher self-control, awareness, and socio-economic behavior. Statistical data shows educated populations tend to engage more in pro-social behavior and civic participation. Gender disparities in education can influence behavioral outcomes, but access to education reduces behavioral inequalities over time. 5. Universal human coincidences. Despite cultural differences, all humans share basic needs: food, safety, love. Emotional responses: happiness, fear, anger. The desire for connection and purpose. Capacity for growth and change. The pursuit of meaning and understanding. 6. Common human goals. Most people seek happiness and fulfillment, security and stability, love and connection, success and achievement, personal growth and self-actualization. 7. Controlling the mind. Strategies include mindfulness and meditation, cognitive behavioral techniques, setting clear goals and routines, limiting distractions, developing self-awareness and emotional regulation. 8. Why do people need religion? Religion fulfills several human needs, provides meaning and purpose, offers community and social support, explains existential questions, offers moral guidance, provides comfort in times of suffering. 9. Key questions about human behavior and their answers. Why do humans seek social connection? To fulfill innate needs for belonging, survival, and emotional support. What prompts people to change behavior? Motivation, consequences, self-awareness, and social influence. How does culture influence behavior? It shapes norms, values, communication styles, and expectations. Why are some people more aggressive? Genetics, environment, upbringing, and stress levels. What role does fear play in human behavior? It drives survival instincts but can also lead to avoidance or aggression. How do habits form? Repetition and reinforcement over time create automatic responses. Why do people seek meaning? To make sense of existence, reduce anxiety, and find purpose. How does education affect behavior? It broadens perspectives, enhances critical thinking, and promotes responsible behavior. What is empathy and why is it important? The ability to understand others' feelings, fostering compassion and cooperation. Why do humans sometimes act irrationally? Due to cognitive biases, emotional influences, or lack of information. What influences decision-making? Emotions, past experiences, social pressures, and cognitive biases. How do people cope with stress? Through exercise, social support, hobbies, or maladaptive behaviors. Why do humans pursue goals? To achieve personal growth, status, security, or fulfillment. What is the impact of childhood experiences? They shape personality, beliefs, and coping mechanisms. How does perception influence behavior? It filters reality, shaping reactions based on individual interpretations. 10. How do people stay focused? Set specific, achievable goals. Minimize distractions. Practice mindfulness. Use time management techniques. Maintain healthy lifestyle habits, sleep, diet, exercise. Break tasks into smaller steps. 11. Conclusions. 1. For kids. People are curious and want to feel happy, safe, and loved. They learn from their family, friends, and school. It's important to be kind, share, and always try to do your best. 2. For adults. Understanding behavior helps us improve ourselves and our relationships. Factors like education, environment, and beliefs influence actions. Controlling your mind and understanding others fosters better communities. 3. For PhDs. Human behavior emerges from complex interactions among biological, psychological, social, and cultural systems. Variability is influenced by genetics, environmental contexts, and socio-economic factors. Interdisciplinary approaches are vital for advancing comprehension and interventions. 12 additional topics to include. The influence of technology on behavior. Behavioral economics and decision-making. The psychology of motivation. The impact of trauma and mental health issues. Cross-cultural differences and universals. Behavioral change techniques and therapies. Future trends in human behavior research. White paper, Understanding Human Behavior. Table of Contents. Introduction to Human Behavior. Differences in human behavior, gender, status, and education. Coincidences of all human beings. Common goals and aspirations. Controlling the mind, strategies and techniques. The role of religion in human behavior. 15 questions about human behavior. Staying focused, tips and techniques. Conclusion, understanding human behavior in 3 tiers. Future directions for research and study. 1. Introduction to human behavior. Human behavior is a complex and multifaceted field of study that seeks to understand why people act the way they do. It encompasses various disciplines, including psychology, sociology, anthropology, and philosophy. Understanding human behavior is crucial for personal growth, social interaction, and building strong relationships. 2. Differences in human behavior, gender, status, and education. Research has shown that there are significant differences in human behavior based on gender, status, and education. Gender, men and women exhibit different behaviors in various contexts, such as communication styles, emotional expression, and conflict resolution. For example, women tend to be more empathetic and cooperative, while men tend to be more competitive and assertive. Status, social status can influence behavior, with individuals of higher status often exhibiting more confidence and assertiveness. Those with lower status may exhibit more submissive or anxious behavior. Education. Education can shape behavior by providing individuals with knowledge, skills, and critical thinking abilities. Educated individuals tend to be more open-minded, tolerant, and adaptable. 3. Coincidences of all human beings. Despite our differences, there are several coincidences that unite all human beings. Need for social connection. humans are social creatures that thrive on interaction and connection with others. Desire for happiness, people from all walks of life strive for happiness and fulfillment. Fear of mortality, the awareness of our own mortality is a universal human experience. Search for meaning, humans seek to find purpose and meaning in life. 4 common goals and aspirations. Research has shown that most people share common goals and aspirations, including happiness and fulfillment. People strive for happiness, joy, and a sense of fulfillment. Success and achievement. Individuals aim to achieve success in their careers, relationships, and personal lives. Health and well-being. People prioritize their physical and mental health. Relationships and connections. Building strong relationships with others is a fundamental human goal. 5. Controlling the mind, strategies and techniques. Controlling the mind is essential for achieving goals, managing stress, and improving overall well-being. Strategies and techniques include mindfulness and meditation. Practicing mindfulness and meditation can help calm the mind and reduce stress. Positive self-talk. Encouraging positive self-talk can boost confidence and motivation. Goal setting. Setting clear goals can help focus the mind and drive achievement. 6. The role of religion in human behavior. Religion plays a significant role in shaping human behavior, providing meaning and purpose. Religion can give people a sense of purpose and direction. Moral guidance. Religious teachings often provide moral guidance and principles for living. Community and belonging. Religion can provide a sense of community and belonging. 7. 15 questions about human behavior. What motivates people to achieve their goals? Answer: intrinsic motivation, extrinsic rewards, and personal satisfaction. How do people learn new behaviors? Answer: through observation, imitation, and reinforcement. What is the role of emotions in decision-making? Answer: emotions play a significant role in decision-making, influencing choices and judgments. How do people form habits? Answer: through repetition, reinforcement, and conditioning. What is the impact of social media on human behavior? Answer: social media can influence behavior, shaping attitudes and opinions. Why do people engage in risk-taking behavior? Answer: for excitement, thrill-seeking, or to achieve a goal. How do people cope with stress? Answer: through exercise, relaxation techniques, or social support. What is the role of culture in shaping human behavior? Answer: culture influences behavior, shaping norms, values, and attitudes. How do people form relationships? Answer: through shared interests, mutual attraction, or social connections. What is the impact of sleep on human behavior? Answer: sleep deprivation can impair cognitive function, mood, and behavior. Why do people engage in altruistic behavior? Answer: for personal satisfaction, empathy, or to help others. How do people respond to change? Answer: people respond to change differently, with some adapting quickly and others resisting. What is the role of self-awareness in human behavior? Answer: self-awareness is essential for personal growth, self-regulation, and decision-making. How do people manage conflict? Answer: through communication, compromise, or avoidance. What is the impact of technology on human behavior? Answer: technology can shape behavior, influencing communication, relationships, and daily life. 8. Staying focused, tips and techniques. Staying focused is crucial for achieving goals and improving productivity. Tips and techniques include setting clear goals. Establishing clear goals can help maintain focus. Prioritizing tasks. Prioritizing tasks can help manage time and energy. Avoiding distractions. Minimizing distractions can help maintain focus. Taking breaks. Taking regular breaks can help recharge and refocus. 9. Conclusion: understanding human behavior in 3 tiers. Tier 1, for kids. Understanding human behavior is like solving a puzzle. We need to figure out why people do what they do and how we can work together better. By learning about human behavior, we can make friends, achieve our goals, and be happy. Tier 2, for adults. Understanding human behavior is essential for building strong relationships, achieving personal growth, and improving our communities. By recognizing the complexities of human behavior, we can develop empathy, improve communication, and foster a more compassionate society. Tier 3, for PhD. Understanding human behavior requires an interdisciplinary approach, incorporating insights from psychology, sociology, anthropology, and philosophy. By examining the intricacies of human behavior, we can develop nuanced theories, predictive models, and evidence-based interventions to improve human well-being. Future directions for research and study. Neuroscience and neuroplasticity. Further research on the neural basis of human behavior can provide insights into brain function and development. Cultural and cross-cultural studies. Examining cultural differences in human behavior can provide a deeper understanding of human diversity. Technology and human behavior. Investigating the impact of technology on human behavior can inform strategies for promoting healthy technology use. Interventions and applications. Developing evidence-based interventions can help improve human well-being, relationships, and performance. Additional topics that could be included in this paper. Emotional intelligence. Understanding and managing emotions is crucial for personal and social well-being. Motivation and engagement. Examining the factors that drive motivation and engagement can inform strategies for promoting productivity and achievement. Group dynamics and teamwork. Understanding how groups function and how to build effective teams can improve collaboration and performance. Conflict resolution and negotiation. Developing skills for resolving conflicts and negotiating effectively can improve relationships and outcomes. Personal growth and development. Exploring strategies for personal growth and development can help individuals achieve their goals and improve their well-being. While I can't create an entire white paper or short book of the depth you're requesting on human behavior in a single response, I can provide a comprehensive outline and detailed content for each section, laying the groundwork for such a document. I will address all your specific points, including gender/status/education differences, human coincidences, common goals, mind control, religion, a Q&A section, focus, and a multi-tiered conclusion. Here's a structured approach to the white paper on human behavior. White paper, an exploration of human behavior. Table of contents. Introduction, the enigma of human behavior. Foundational concepts of human behavior. Nature versus nurture. Cognition, emotion, and motivation. The role of environment and culture. Variations in human behavior. Gender differences in behavior. Socioeconomic status and behavior. Education's influence on behavior. Universalities of human experience, the coincidences. Basic needs and drives. Social connection and belonging. The pursuit of meaning. Common human aspirations, what goals do most people have? Personal well-being and happiness. Achievement and success. Relationships and family. Contribution and legacy. Mastering the mind, strategies for mental control. Mindfulness and awareness. Emotional regulation. Cognitive restructuring. Building resilience. The quest for meaning, why do people need religion? Coping with existential questions. Community and social cohesion. Moral frameworks and guidance. Hope and transcendence. 15 questions on human behavior, a deep dive. List of 15 questions with answers. Sustaining attention, how do people stay focused? Environmental factors. Cognitive strategies. Physiological considerations. Conclusion, understanding ourselves. Further considerations for this paper. 1. Introduction, the enigma of human behavior. Human behavior is a complex tapestry woven from biological predispositions, psychological processes, social interactions, and cultural influences. Understanding why humans act the way they do is fundamental to comprehending ourselves, our societies, and our potential. This paper will explore various facets of human behavior, from innate drives to learned responses, examining both the commonalities and the significant variations that define our species. 2. Foundational concepts of human behavior. Nature versus nurture, the ongoing debate about the relative contributions of genetics, nature, and environment, nurture, in shaping behavior. While certain predispositions may be inherited, experiences profoundly mold how these predispositions are expressed. Cognition, emotion, and motivation. Cognition, our thoughts, perceptions, memories, and problem-solving abilities. How we process information dictates our understanding of the world and our responses. Emotion, our feelings and their physiological and behavioral manifestations. Emotions serve as powerful motivators and communication tools. Motivation, the underlying forces that drive our actions, stemming from needs, desires, and goals. The role of environment and culture, the physical and social environments we inhabit, along with the cultural norms, values, and traditions we are exposed to, significantly influence behavioral patterns, social roles, and acceptable conduct. 3 variations in human behavior. Gender differences in behavior. While many behaviors overlap, statistical differences can be observed. These are often a complex interplay of biological factors, example hormonal influences, brain structure differences, and societal roles and expectations, gender socialization. Examples might include communication styles, risk-taking propensity, or emotional expression. It's crucial to avoid essentialism and recognize the wide spectrum within each gender. Socioeconomic status and behavior. SES can impact access to resources, education, healthcare, and opportunities, which in turn influences stress levels, health behaviors, educational attainment, and even parenting styles. For instance, higher SES may correlate with greater proactive health behaviors, while lower SES might be associated with higher rates of chronic stress. Education's influence on behavior. Education can broaden perspectives, enhance critical thinking skills, foster empathy, and promote civic engagement. Higher levels of education often correlate with greater civic participation, improved health literacy, and more nuanced decision-making. Conversely, lack of education can limit opportunities and access to information, potentially leading to different behavioral patterns. 4 universalities of human experience. The coincidences. Despite our differences, certain fundamental aspects unite humanity. These coincidences reflect our shared evolutionary heritage and basic biological and psychological architecture. Basic needs and drives. All humans require food, water, shelter, and sleep. We are driven by the need for survival and reproduction. Social connection and belonging. Humans are inherently social creatures. The need for connection, belonging to a group, and forming relationships is universal. Loneliness and isolation are detrimental to well-being across cultures. The pursuit of meaning. While the specifics of meaning vary, the human quest for purpose, understanding our place in the world, and making sense of existence is a profound and widespread drive. This can manifest through philosophy, religion, art, or personal endeavors. Emotional range. While expression may differ, the fundamental range of human emotions, joy, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust, is universal. Capacity for learning and adaptation. Humans are incredibly adaptable and possess a remarkable capacity for learning throughout their lifespan. 5 common human aspirations. What goals do most people have? While individual goals are diverse, many common aspirations resonate across cultures and demographics. Personal well-being and happiness. The fundamental desire for a good life, characterized by contentment, satisfaction, and minimal suffering. Achievement and success. Whether in career, personal projects, or skills, many people strive for mastery and recognition. Relationships and family. Building and maintaining strong, supportive relationships with loved ones, and for many, raising a family, is a core life goal. Contribution and legacy. The desire to make a positive impact, leave something meaningful behind, or contribute to something larger than oneself. Security and stability. Financial security, a safe environment, and a sense of predictability are widely desired. Growth and learning. A continuous desire for personal development, acquiring new knowledge, and expanding one's horizons. 6. Mastering the mind. Strategies for mental control. Mind control in this context refers to self-regulation and intentional direction of one's thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, rather than external manipulation. Mindfulness and awareness, paying attention to the present moment without judgment. This practice helps to observe thoughts and emotions without being consumed by them, fostering a sense of distance and choice in response. Emotional regulation, developing strategies to manage and appropriately express emotions. This includes identifying emotional triggers, practicing deep breathing, challenging negative thoughts, and engaging in healthy coping mechanisms. Cognitive restructuring, identifying and challenging irrational or unhelpful thought patterns, example catastrophizing, black and white thinking, and replacing them with more balanced and realistic perspectives. Building resilience, developing the capacity to bounce back from adversity. This involves cultivating a positive outlook, strong social support, and problem-solving skills. Goal setting and visualization, clearly defining goals and mentally rehearsing successful outcomes can help direct focus and motivation. 7. The quest for meaning. Why do people need religion? Religion often serves as a profound source of meaning and purpose for many individuals. Coping with existential questions, religion offers frameworks for understanding life's big questions. Why are we here? What happens after death? What is the nature of good and evil? Community and social cohesion. Religious institutions provide strong social networks, a sense of belonging, shared rituals, and mutual support, fostering community bonds. Moral frameworks and guidance. Religions often provide ethical codes, moral principles, and guidance on how to live a virtuous life, offering a clear path for behavior. Hope and transcendence. Religion can offer hope in times of suffering, a sense of something larger than oneself, and a belief in a transcendent reality, providing comfort and meaning. Ritual and tradition. Shared rituals and traditions provide structure, continuity, and a sense of connection to history and a larger community. 8. 15 Questions on Human Behavior, a deep dive. Here are 15 questions about human behavior, along with concise answers. Q. How much of human behavior is innate versus learned? A. It's a complex interplay. While some behaviors, example reflexes, basic drives, are innate, the vast majority are shaped and refined through learning, experience, and cultural context. The nature versus nurture debate is increasingly seen as an interactionist one. Q. What is the primary motivator for human action? A. While survival and basic needs are fundamental, beyond that, motivation is multifaceted, including the pursuit of pleasure, avoidance of pain, social connection, achievement, and meaning. Maslow's hierarchy of needs provides a useful framework. Q. Why do people conform to group norms? A. People conform due to the need for belonging, normative influence, and the belief that the group has accurate information, informational influence. It helps maintain social order and can simplify decision-making. Q. How do biases influence human behavior? A. Cognitive biases are systematic errors in thinking that affect decisions and judgments. They allow for quicker processing but can lead to irrational behavior, prejudice, and flawed reasoning. Q. What role does empathy play in human interaction? A. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, is crucial for social bonding, cooperation, conflict resolution, and processual behavior. Q. Why do some people exhibit altruistic behavior? A. Altruism can stem from empathy, a desire for social approval, reciprocal altruism, expecting help in return, or a genuine concern for others' well-being, sometimes with an evolutionary advantage for group survival. Q. How does stress impact human behavior? A. Chronic stress can lead to negative behavioral changes like irritability, withdrawal, poor decision-making, impulsivity, and increased risk of mental and physical health issues. Q. What is the power of habit in human behavior? A. Habits are automatic behaviors triggered by specific cues. They conserve mental energy but can be difficult to break, explaining many of our daily routines and ingrained responses. Q. Why do humans engage in risky behaviors? A. Risky behaviors can be driven by a desire for novelty, sensation-seeking, peer pressure, a miscalculation of risk, or a lack of impulse control, particularly in adolescence. Q. How does culture shape emotional expression? A. While basic emotions are universal, cultures dictate display rules, when, where, and how emotions are expressed, influencing the intensity and outward manifestation of feelings. Q. What is the bystander effect? A. The bystander effect is a phenomenon where individuals are less likely to offer help to a victim when other people are present. This is due to diffusion of responsibility and social conformity. Q. Why do people procrastinate? A. Procrastination often stems from a combination of factors, including fear of failure, perfectionism, lack of motivation, poor time management, or difficulty with emotional regulation. Q. How does positive reinforcement influence behavior? A. Positive reinforcement strengthens a desired behavior by adding a rewarding stimulus after the behavior occurs, making it more likely to be repeated. Q. What is the role of self-esteem in human behavior? A. Self-esteem, a person's overall subjective sense of personal worth, influences confidence, resilience, social interactions, and mental well-being. Low self-esteem can lead to avoidance and self-sabotage. Q. Why are humans so prone to storytelling? A. Storytelling is fundamental to human cognition. It helps us make sense of the world, convey information, build connections, preserve culture, and understand complex ideas through narrative. 9. Sustaining attention. How do people stay focused? Staying focused is a skill that can be developed. It involves a combination of environmental factors, minimizing distractions, creating a quiet workspace, turning off notifications, and avoiding multitasking. Optimizing the environment, ensuring comfortable temperature, good lighting, and an organized space. Cognitive strategies. Goal setting, having clear, specific, and achievable goals. Prioritization, identifying the most important tasks. Breaking down tasks, dividing large tasks into smaller, manageable steps. Time management techniques, using methods like the Pomodoro technique, focused work intervals followed by short breaks. Mindfulness and meditation, training the mind to stay in the present moment and redirect attention when it wanders. Self-talk, positive affirmations and encouraging internal dialogue. Physiological considerations. Adequate sleep. Sleep deprivation significantly impairs focus and cognitive function. Nutrition. A balanced diet provides sustained energy for brain function. Regular exercise. Physical activity can improve attention span and cognitive flexibility. Hydration. Dehydration can negatively impact concentration. 10. Deduction. Understanding ourselves. Tier 1. For a kid. Human behavior is like a big puzzle, and we're all pieces. We all need to eat and play, and we all want to be friends. Sometimes we act differently because we're boys or girls, or because of where we live, but deep down, we all want to be happy and loved. If you want to be good at something, you have to practice, and if you want to be happy, it helps to be kind and think happy thoughts. Tier 2. For an adult. Human behavior is a dynamic interplay of biological predispositions, psychological processes, and socio-cultural influences. While individual differences are significant, stemming from genetics, upbringing, and environment, underlying universalities in basic needs, social drives, and the pursuit of meaning unite us. Understanding these foundational principles, along with strategies for self-regulation and intentionality, is key to fostering personal well-being, effective communication, and harmonious societal functioning. Our motivations are complex, often driven by a quest for security, belonging, achievement, and a sense of purpose, sometimes found in spiritual or religious frameworks. Tier 3. For a PhD. The elucidation of human behavior necessitates a multi-paradigm approach, integrating insights from cognitive neuroscience, developmental psychology, social psychology, anthropology, and sociology. Behavioral phenotype expression is demonstrably shaped by gene-environment interactions, with epigenetic modifications potentially mediating the behavioral impact of lived experience across the lifespan. While neurobiological underpinnings of basic drives and emotional responses exhibit phylogenetic continuity, the complex interplay of cultural schemata, socioeconomic stratification, and educational capital significantly modulates cognitive appraisals, effective regulation strategies, and overt behavioral patterns. The inherent human drive for meaning-making, often expressed through religiosity or secular existential frameworks, serves as a crucial adaptive mechanism for navigating ontological uncertainty and fostering social cohesion. Furthermore, the capacity for metacognition and self-regulation, contingent upon executive function integrity, underpins the ability to modulate automatic responses, override biases, and pursue long-term objectives, thereby influencing individual and collective trajectories. Future research should prioritize longitudinal studies with diverse populations, employing neuroimaging and genomic methodologies to further dissect the complex causal pathways influencing behavioral outcomes. 11. What else should be included in this paper? To make this white paper even more comprehensive, consider adding ethical considerations in studying human behavior, discussing privacy, informed consent, potential for misuse of behavioral insights. The role of technology, how technology influences human behavior, social media, attention spans, online communities. Mental health and behavior, a brief section on how mental health conditions impact behavior and vice versa. Decision-making processes, delve deeper into cognitive biases, heuristics, and rational choice theory. Learning and conditioning, principles of classical and operant conditioning. Group dynamics, more in-depth exploration of how individuals behave in groups, leadership, conformity, conflict, aggression and processual behavior, specific sections on these important behavioral domains. Case studies or examples, illustrative examples of behavioral phenomena. References and further reading, a robust bibliography to support claims and direct readers to more in-depth resources. Glossary of key terms for human behavior. 1. Agency. The capacity of individuals to act independently and make their own free choices, as opposed to being solely influenced by external forces or social structures. 2. Attitude. A psychological tendency expressed by evaluating a particular entity with some degree of favor or disfavor, often composed of cognitive, affective, and behavioral components. 3. Behaviorism. A theoretical orientation based on the premise that scientific psychology should study only observable behavior, emphasizing the role of environmental stimuli and reinforcement. 4. Cognition. The mental processes involved in acquiring knowledge and understanding, including perception, memory, reasoning, and decision-making. 5. Conformity. The act of matching attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors to group norms or social expectations, often studied in the context of social influence. 6. Cultural determinism. The theory that the culture in which we are raised determines who we are at emotional and behavioral levels. 7. Developmental stages. Distinct phases of growth and development in human life, often characterized by specific psychological or behavioral milestones, example Piaget's stages of cognitive development, Erikson's psychosocial stages. 8. Empathy. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another, often considered a foundational element in processual behavior and moral development. 9. Ethology. The scientific study of animal and human behavior, particularly in natural environments, with an emphasis on evolutionary and biological determinants. 10. Heuristics. Cognitive shortcuts or rules of thumb that simplify decision-making processes, often leading to biases or systematic errors in judgment. 11. Homeostasis. The tendency of an organism or system to maintain internal stability and equilibrium in response to external changes. 12. Intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation refers to engaging in behavior for its own sake or personal satisfaction, while extrinsic motivation involves performing actions to obtain external rewards or avoid punishments. 13. Norms. Socially constructed rules or expectations that guide and regulate behavior within a group or society. 14. Personality. The enduring patterns of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that distinguish individuals from one another, often conceptualized through trait theories or psychodynamic frameworks. 15. Proxemics. The study of how humans use space in interpersonal interactions, including concepts such as personal space and territoriality. 16. Reinforcement. In behavioral psychology, any event that strengthens or increases the likelihood of a behavior, which can be positive, adding a desirable stimulus, or negative, removing an aversive stimulus. 17. Role theory. A framework for analyzing how individuals fulfill the expectations associated with particular social positions or statuses. 18. Self-concept. An individual's perception and evaluation of themselves, encompassing self-esteem, self-image, and the ideal self. 19. Socialization. the lifelong process through which individuals acquire the values, norms, and behaviors appropriate to their society or social group. 20. Theory of mind. The cognitive capacity to attribute mental states such as beliefs, intents, desires, emotions to oneself and others, and to understand that others have perspectives different from one's own. Glossary of key terms, Part 2, for Human Behavior Course. 1. Agency. The capacity of individuals to act independently and make free choices, shaped by personal goals, beliefs, and contexts, often contrasted with structure. 2. Attribution theory. A psychological framework for understanding how individuals explain causes of behavior, attributing them to either internal dispositions or external situations. 3. Behaviorism. A theoretical perspective that emphasizes observable behaviors and their responses to environmental stimuli, often disregarding internal mental states. 4. Cognitive dissonance. A psychological discomfort experienced when an individual holds two or more contradictory beliefs, values, or behaviors, prompting a motivation to reduce the inconsistency. 5. Conformity. The tendency to align attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors with those of a group, often due to real or perceived social pressure. 6. Cultural determinism. The theory that human behavior is largely shaped by cultural context and socialization rather than biological or individual factors. 7. Emotional regulation. The process by which individuals influence which emotions they experience, when they experience them, and how they express them. 8. Evolutionary psychology. An approach that explains human behavior in terms of psychological adaptations evolved to solve problems of survival and reproduction. 9. Heuristics. Mental shortcuts or rules of thumb used in problem solving and decision making, which can be efficient but sometimes lead to biases. 10. Identity formation. The development of a distinct individual personality or self-concept, often explored through psychosocial and socio-cultural lenses. 11. Learned helplessness. A state in which individuals believe they have no control over outcomes, leading to passive behavior in the face of adversity, typically developed after repeated exposure to uncontrollable stressors. 12. Mirror neurons. Neurons that fire both when an individual acts and when they observe the same action performed by another, implicated in imitation, empathy, and social cognition. 13. Normative behavior. Actions that conform to societal or group norms, reflecting expectations about appropriate conduct in specific contexts. 14. Operant conditioning. A method of learning that occurs through rewards and punishments for behavior, formulated by B.F. Skinner. 15. Proxemics. The study of how space and distance influence human interaction, often examined in cross-cultural behavioral studies. 16. Psychodynamic theory. An approach originating from Freud's work, emphasizing unconscious motives, conflicts, and early developmental influences on behavior. 17. Self-efficacy. An individual's belief in their ability to perform specific tasks or control specific aspects of their environment. 18. Social learning theory. A theory positing that people learn behaviors, attitudes, and emotional reactions through observing others, especially role models. 19. Social norms. Culturally shared rules or expectations guiding behavior within a group or society, which may be explicit, laws, or implicit, customs. 20. Theory of mind. The cognitive capacity to attribute mental states to oneself and others, and to understand that others have beliefs, desires, and intentions different from one's own. 21. Trait theory. A psychological approach focusing on the identification and measurement of consistent patterns of behavior, thought, and emotion known as personality traits. 22. Neuroplasticity. The brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life, influencing behavioral change and learning. 23. Moral development. The process through which individuals develop proper attitudes and behaviors toward others in society, based on social and cultural norms, often studied through the frameworks of Kohlberg and Gilligan. 24. Situational versus dispositional factors. Explanatory dimensions used to analyze behavior. Situational factors relate to external environmental influences, dispositional factors refer to internal characteristics or traits. 25. Biopsychosocial model. an integrative model that explains human behavior through the interaction of biological, psychological, and social factors. Classical conditioning, a learning process where a stimulus becomes associated with a response due to repetition. Example: Pavlov's dogs. Operant conditioning, a learning process where behavior is modified by the consequences that follow it. Example: Skinner's box. Reinforcement, a consequence that increases the likelihood of a behavior being repeated. Can be positive or negative. Punishment, a consequence that decreases the likelihood of a behavior being repeated. Can be positive or negative. Cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort experienced when a person holds two or more contradictory beliefs, values, or ideas. Confirmation bias, the tendency to favor information that confirms pre-existing beliefs and ignore evidence to the contrary. Heuristics, mental shortcuts that allow people to make decisions and solve problems quickly and efficiently. Bias, a systematic deviation from rational thought, often leading to incorrect judgments or interpretations. Attribution theory, a framework that explains how people perceive the causes of behavior, focusing on internal, personal, or external, situational, factors. Fundamental attribution error, the tendency to overemphasize personal characteristics and ignore situational factors when judging others' behavior. Self-efficacy, an individual's belief in their capacity to execute behaviors necessary to produce specific performance attainments. Locus of control, the degree to which people believe they have control over the outcomes of events in their lives, rather than external forces. Social learning theory, a theory that proposes learning can occur by observing and imitating the behavior of others. Modeling, the process of observing and imitating specific behaviors, attitudes, or emotional expressions of a model, example: a parent, peer, or media figure. Schemas, cognitive structures that represent organized knowledge about a concept or type of stimulus. Scripts, cognitive structures that represent sequences of events and appropriate behaviors for specific situations. Self-concept, an individual's knowledge, thoughts, and feelings about themselves, including their abilities, personality traits, and physical attributes. Self-esteem, the evaluation of one's own self-worth, often based on comparisons with others or societal standards. Self-actualization, the realization of one's full potential, including the pursuit of personal growth, self-fulfillment, and peak experiences. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a theory of psychological health predicated on fulfilling innate human needs in priority, culminating in self-actualization. Intrinsic motivation, engaging in an activity for its own sake, driven by internal rewards such as enjoyment, interest, or personal growth. Extrinsic motivation, engaging in an activity to earn external rewards or avoid punishment, such as money, grades, or praise. Flow state, a psychological state of complete absorption in an activity, characterized by intense focus, enjoyment, and a loss of self-consciousness. Processual behavior, voluntary actions that benefit others, such as helping, sharing, or cooperating. Aggression, behavior intended to cause harm or pain to another person, which can be physical, verbal, or relational. Altruism, selfless concern for the well-being of others, often involving actions that benefit others at a personal cost. Bystander effect, the phenomenon where individuals are less likely to offer help to a victim when other people are present. Conformity, the act of matching attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors to group norms or expectations. Obedience, compliance with the commands or expectations of an authority figure. Crowd behavior, the ways in which people behave and interact in large groups, often characterized by heightened emotions and altered social norms. De-individuation, the loss of self-awareness and individual accountability in group situations, often leading to irrational or antisocial behavior. Groupthink, a phenomenon where the desire for harmony and conformity within a group results in irrational or dysfunctional decision-making. Social influence, the ways in which people's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are affected by the presence and actions of others. Social norms, the implicit or explicit rules that govern behavior within a social group, defining what is considered acceptable or expected. Social roles, the sets of expectations and behaviors associated with a particular position or status within a social group or society. Social identity, the part of an individual's self-concept derived from their membership in social groups, including the associated stereotypes, norms, and values. Stereotyping, the process of attributing characteristics or behaviors to individuals based on their membership in a particular social group. Prejudice, negative attitudes or feelings toward individuals based on their membership in a particular social group. Discrimination, unjust or prejudicial treatment of individuals based on their membership in a particular social group. Attitude, a learned tendency to evaluate people, objects, or issues in a consistently favorable or unfavorable way. Cognitive dissonance theory, a theory that explains how people strive for internal consistency and reduce dissonance by changing their attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors. Elaboration likelihood model, ELMA dual process model of persuasion that explains how people process and respond to persuasive messages, either through central or peripheral routes. Persuasion, the process of changing or reinforcing attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors through communication and social influence. Compliance, adhering to the requests or suggestions of others, often due to social pressure or expectations. Resistance to change, the tendency to maintain existing attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors in the face of new information or social pressure. Coping strategies, the methods people use to manage stress, adversity, or emotional challenges, which can be adaptive or maladaptive. Defense mechanisms, unconscious psychological strategies that protect the self from anxiety, stress, or threatening emotions, such as denial, projection, or rationalization. Emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions, as well as recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. Nonverbal communication, the transmission of messages and meaning through nonverbal channels, such as facial expressions, body language, or tone of voice.